All right, folks, how y'all doing today? Not that you could answer me. Well, I guess you can, but won't make no difference. Might as well be doing good. That's what I always say, because don't nobody give a crap if you ain't. Well, I ain't made one of these vlog videos for a while because I've had a daggone cold, so I'm just now getting over it. So I've been coughing all the time and all that. I don't know what allergies or whatever this time of year. But it's starting to turn off a little bit cooler now. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm not a big fan of cold weather, as I've mentioned before. But, it is what it is. We'll see how it goes this time around. No, I was looking on Facebook a while ago, and they was going on about this restaurant. And I ain't gonna mention the name of it, hurt nobody's feelings around, But anyhow, they was just going on about how good the food was there, and the place has been closed down for a while. It just brought to mind, it reminded me of a lot of, like when I was living in Nashville, there's a couple restaurants that people made a real big deal out of. And a lot of times it'll just be in an old building or something, and it'll just be a bunch of freaking hype, man. And it's kind of amazing how gullible people are, and how much people buy into that, into like just word of mouth hype. Somebody goes, and if they put it in an old building, I'm just going to come out and name one thing here in Philadelphia. Williamsville. Everybody goes on about Williamsville. Some people won't buy their groceries nowhere but Williamsville. And it's this grocery store. It's really called Williams Brothers. And okay, they sell bacon that they slice right close to the door. And you can smell it when you come in. And they have they slice that cheese up there, that, what is it? Cheddar or whatever, big hoop cheese. They slice that. It is what it is. I go up there sometimes and get groceries, but I don't. It's mostly just a bunch of freaking hype. I'm just going to be honest, it's just an old building that's been there for a long time. So everybody makes a big to-do of it, because it's at Williamsville. And most time, if I'm going to be perfectly honest, it's freaking overpriced over there at Williamsville. Now, I'll tell you, they do have a reasonable price on plants, like for planting in the garden, seedlings. They reasonable on that. And there's some things that they reasonable on. But for the most part, it's kind of overpriced in my opinion. And they sell clothes and boots and stuff. And man, the boots are as high marked up retail as you can get it, and still even sell them. But there's some people that won't do nothing but shop there. And that's fine. That's their business. But I'm just talking about how people go for the hype of stuff. And like that old restaurant I was talking about, they'd go on about how good the food was, and it was just a place that was old. It'd been around a long time. It was in an old building. They had a certain way of doing things that was unique. And that's what sells it. It wasn't the food. I ate there plenty of times. And the food that they served tasted just like stuff straight out of the can. Like it was seasoned on the bland side. Nothing exceptional. And I've mentioned on here before about all that Nashville hot chicken. Give me a break. Man, I'll tell you right now, they did not, anybody from the South knows Nashville did not freaking invent hot chicken. People have been putting cayenne pepper and whatever kind of spicy seasoning you want on fried chicken down here in the South since they freaking plucked the chicken and fried it. Nashville by no means came up with that. And that's fairly a new thing. They started laying claim to that. And I can tell you right now, after living up there, where that comes from. And I mentioned it on this channel before, and it was a bunch of hype. And it's this, this Prince's Hot Chicken. So it's just a story about this place this old black feller had, just a little old rundown chicken place. And apparently his old lady wanted to murder him or some crap. She was mad at him, so she tried to poison him to death by feeding him, making it some extremely hot chicken. And when he ate it, he loved it so good, they started selling it, and then people can't get enough of it. And supposedly that's how the whole thing got started, about all this hot chicken. And I've eat it. It ain't nothing to brag about. It's just regular old fried chicken with some extra spice on there. And Hattie B's where they line up around the corner. And it ain't nothing but some greasy ass fried chicken with a large amount of freaking cayenne pepper or some kind of pepper on there. You can get the regular, you can get the mild, you can get the hot. And that hot stuff, it's just so damn hot that it ain't got no flavor. All you can taste is the pepper. If that's what you want, more power to it. But I'm more into the flavors of seasonings, having some different flavors on there, and subtlety. Actually using some different things in your recipes. I'm all about some seasoning, and I'm all about some hot food. I mean, down here in Mississippi, we eat the crap out of it. And we just right coming out of the Cajun country down there, and they put it on everything. I mean, I grew up eating hot stuff. I love it. My stomach's getting to where it don't love it. But anyway, the Nashville hot chicken's a bunch of freaking hype. It ain't nothing special. Another thing that I seen there that was a big load of hype was that cheesecake factory. And then they had this pancake place where people would literally line up all the way down the block to buy an overpriced freaking pancake. I'm talking like $20 for a pancake. People willing to do that. And I'm just saying, all this shit's a bunch of hype. And it's, like with the music stuff and these instruments. I've talked about it before. You can get, and I've got them. I've got guitars that cost $1,000, banjos that cost $5,000, and I played $500 ones that sound just as good. They might be a little different, and it's just personal preference, and 90% of all this crap's a bunch of hype. You can get if you look around enough, you can get a dang banjo for $500 that sounds just as good as any of them. Now you may get some pre-war banjos or something that have a little bit better sound, But Jesus, man, the average human being can't even differentiate between that. That's just something that banjo players, professional banjo players, will know. The average human being listening to that music cannot tell you the difference between a $200 one and a $2,000 one. Same thing for guitars, whatever. Yeah, they may make it out of better quality stuff, and it may last longer, be a little bit better attention to details, but it ain't that much difference. It's mostly just a bunch of hype. And it's like Harley Davidson motorcycles. Motorcycles that I have had and I'm going to just be straight up honest about it. I have had more trouble with Harley Davidson motorcycles than any other motorcycle that I've ever had. And I've had all kinds of freaking motorcycles. And the most reliable bikes that I've had have been Japanese motorcycles, Hondas and Yamahas, particularly Yamaha. I've had great luck out of them. Harleys, every time it may have just been the ones I had, but out of the ones that I've owned, constantly having to do repairs on them. And the parts are expensive. Rip off, for just little basic stuff. Again, it's a bunch of hype. And I don't know why I decided to rant about that. I just seen that about the food and the restaurant, how good the food was. And it really wasn't. It was just average food. You could cook better food at home. It was just in a unique place, and they made a big deal out of it and charged way too much, you know. Whatever, man. I try not to buy into the freaking hype. You know, people are so gullible. And I try not to be gullible like that. I'm not some kind of genius or anything. Don't claim to be. But I try not to be persuaded by other people and all their ideas. And half of the time they're just trying to get money out of you. And you run into that all the time. You know, if you're dealing with people, people's all the time trying to hype something up and get an easy ride. You know, don't nobody like working. Come on, let's face it. They wouldn't call it work. If they did, they'd call it fun. You know, I mean, some people get lucky enough to do something that they like doing, and then they like it. But that ain't really work. That's just doing something you like doing, and you've learned how to make a career out of it. You know, and kudos to those people. Most folks have to go do something that they do not like doing. And they got to do it to make ends meet. So, anyhow, I ain't telling y'all nothing you don't already know. I like to see people not be so daggone gullible. And don't swallow all the hype that people push out. Don't let a bunch of other people's opinions convince you how great something is. Try to see things objectively. You know, look at it for exactly what it is instead of all the hype that's built up around it. Don't be a little kid, you know, buying a toy. You know, I remember when I was a little kid, they'd fix these boxes. I grew up in the 1980s, and they all this He-Man and all that stuff, you know. So they'd paint all these. They'd commission these artists paint these paintings, things put on these boxes, you know, real elaborate, really good artwork. Same deal with movies. You know, back then it was VHS. Go to the VCR store, VHS store. Go rent a movie. And the only way you really knew anything about it was looking at the picture on the box. And they used to commission these really good artists to paint these great paintings that they put on these boxes, and that's what sold the product. And half the time you get it home, the movie sucked. And usually the movies with the best boxes were some of the shittiest movies. They had to have some way to sell them. And the same with the toys. You know, you'd spend $5 to $20 on some toy as a kid, or talk your parents into spending it, and you was really just buying the box. You get it home, it's some piece of crap toy. It's all just a little piece of crap, piece of plastic. And the commercials, man, they pushed them commercials when we was kids, boy. They make it look like those little kids was having a blast playing with these things, you know. They'd have all these, they'd be playing with these little like G.I. Joes or something. They'd have all this crap look like they was out in the jungle or some shit playing with these little figures. Well, you get it, you just got a little figure, you know, a little piece of crap toy. They've been selling us hype since we were little kids, you know. The older I got, the less I cared about all that, the hype around things, and the more stupid I felt when I fell for it. I feel like some kind of moron walking into a place just because it's real hyped up, and almost to the point that when everybody liked something, I almost didn't want to do it just because everybody else liked it. I figured it was a bunch of hype. But I've been known to have a bad attitude, so I ain't saying you can be, I guess you can be just as bad off whenever you discredit stuff just because it's got a lot of hype. Sometimes things have a lot of hype and it's for a good reason. So I don't know, just have to use your own basic common sense. But I've been blabbing plenty long enough. This video is like 14 minutes long. It'll take all damn evening to get my phone to load it up, so I'm gonna get off here while I can still get it loaded. Now I haven't had my phone tied up all evening. All right, folks, I'm out of here. See you next time. Don't fall for the hype.